They were warned never to enter Blackmouth Hollow, a cave system so deep, so complex, and so twisted with superstition that even experienced geologists refused to map it. But 4 explorers went inside anyway, and only one came back, swearing the cave was alive. Blackmouth Hollow wasn't on GPSmaps.it, wasn't printed on geologicalsurveys.it, wasn't even listed in the county archives. But everyone in the nearby mountain town, Clearwater Ridge, knew exactly where it was, and even more importantly, they knew to stay away. Some said the cave breathed. Some said it whispered at night. Some swore their dogs refused to walk near the entrance. Others claimed the cave had no real bottom, only corridors looping endlessly into themselves like some underground trap that shifted each time you entered. And yet, for explorers like Ian Maddox, legends didn't deter him. They fascinated him. Ian was a 34-year-old adventure videographer, charismatic, intelligent, and dangerously curious. He and his longtime partner Noel Barrett, a cave mapper and expert climber, had been building a reputation online filming expeditions across abandoned mines, forgotten forests, and old military tunnels. They weren't reckless, but they weren't the type to back out either. For this expedition, they invited 2 others, Dr. Elias Rowe, a quiet but brilliant geologist obsessed with impossible formations, and Marcus Hale, Ian's childhood friend, a medic and survival specialist. For experts, 4 different motives. 1 Cave. It should have been routine. Instead, it became a nightmare they would never forget. The entrance to Blackmouth Hollow was nothing impressive at first glance. A narrow slit between 2 limestone boulders, barely tall enough for a person to stand upright. The air around it felt colder than the mountain breeze, like it was inhaling. Ian lifted his camera. Day 1, he narrated. Entering the legendary Blackmouth Hollow. Locals say once you go down, you don't come back up. But we're here to find out the truth. Marcus rolled his eyes. Let's hope the truth isn't we die. Noelle smirked, tightening her harness. Relax, superhero. Worst case scenario, we climb out. Dr. Rowe didn't joke. He simply ran his palm along the rock surface. This limestone shouldn't be eroded this way, he murmured. The striations aren't natural. Marcus frowned. What's that mean? Rowe hesitated. It means something carved this cave, but not water. A chill crawled up Ian's spine. They ducked inside. The world outside vanished behind them. Inside the cave, everything swallowed sound. Their footsteps echoed unnaturally, as if delayed by seconds. The deeper they went, the more the air changed, colder, thicker, heavy with something metallic. It wasn't long before they reached the first cavern chamber. And that was when things started to feel wrong. The chamber walls were covered in symbols, shallow grooves carved in long looping spirals. They look like fingerprints, Noelle whispered. Rowe swallowed. Giant fingerprints. Ian stepped closer, filming every detail. Marcus shook his head. Guys, the grooves are fresh. Ian blinked. What? How? Marcus scraped one with his gloved finger. Tiny flakes fell. These weren't carved years ago. These were carved recently, maybe days. Noelle bit her lip. Who comes down here to carve stuff like this? Rowe's voice dropped to a whisper. Maybe the cave carves itself. They laughed nervously, trying to shake off the sinking feeling. But something lingered, a pressure building in the air as they moved deeper. At the next tunnel fork, Ian marked the left wall with bright orange chalk. We stick to these markings, he said. No matter what. It was the right decision. But it wouldn't be enough. After hours of descending, crawling, and squeezing through narrow chutes, they entered a cavern so big their headlamps couldn't find the ceiling. A cold wind passed through, but not like a breeze. Felt intentional, like something exhaled on them. Marcus shivered. Why is there wind underground? Rowe looked terrified. There shouldn't be. Not at this depth. Ian scanned the cave floor. Something glittered. He knelt. Noelle, bring your light. The floor wasn't stone. Not fully. It was covered in deep human-like footprints. Dozens of them, walking into different tunnels. Some fresh, some ancient. but none leading back out. Marcus whispered, "People were here." Ro corrected him. "People were here, but they didn't leave. They followed their chalk trail for hours, but each time they turned back, something was wrong. The marks looked smudged, smaller. Later, completely gone. Just stone." Noel's hands trembled. "Ian, tell me you're the one moving the chalk marks." Ian's voice cracked. "No, I swear. I haven't touched them." Ro's calm demeanor finally broke. "The cave is cycling." Marcus frowned. "Cycling what?" "The walls, the structure, the tunnels. They're subtle, but shifting. The cave moves like a living organism." Ian swallowed hard. "So, the cave changes shape?" Ro nodded slowly. "Yes, and it's trying to confuse us." Hours later, after climbing a steep drop-off, the group reached a narrow passage where the air felt thick and stagnant. Marcus paused. "You guys hear that?" They froze. A faint whistle drifted through the tunnel, like someone humming or crying. But it echoed in a way that didn't belong to one person. It sounded layered, multiple voices overlapping. Noel clutched Ian's arm. "That's not wind." The whistle grew louder as they approached a bend. Then suddenly it stopped. Silence. A silence so deep Ian felt his heartbeat inside it. Then thud. Something heavy landed just around the corner. Marcus stepped in front. "I'll check." "No," Ian whispered. "Stay together." Too late. Marcus turned the corner and screamed. They rushed toward him and froze. A full human skeleton lay on the ground, clothes shredded but still clinging to the bones. Beside it lay a cracked handheld camcorder. Noel whispered, "Oh my God, this is recent." Marcus knelt, shaking. "Who leaves a body like this? In a place no one can find?" Ro stared into the darkness. Someone who wasn't allowed to leave. When they pressed deeper, the tunnel widened suddenly into a perfect circular hallway. Smooth walls, almost polished, as if carved by machinery. Ro touched the wall. "This isn't natural. This is engineered." "But by who?" Marcus whispered. Ro didn't answer. Something else demanded their attention. At the end of the hallway stood a massive stone slab with an opening shaped like a jaw. Sharp stone teeth jutted inward. A natural formation couldn't produce something like that. And yet, Noel stepped forward. "It looks like a mouth." Ian swallowed. "Or an entrance." Ro stepped closer and whispered, "It's not an entrance." He pointed to the ground. "It's an exit." Ian frowned. "How do you know?" Ro's face turned gray. "Because those footprints aren't entering. They're facing outward." Marcus stiffened. "Outward? So something came out of that hole?" Ro whispered. "Or something escaped." The wind returned colder, stronger, like an inhale. Then, the cave roared. Not loudly. Not like thunder. It was quiet. Low. But it vibrated their bones. The cave was breathing. And the breath was coming from the stone mouth. Suddenly the floor trembled. Rocks broke. Dust fell. The walls rippled like waves. Ian shouted, "Run!" They bolted. But the cave split beneath them. Noel fell through a crack, screaming. Marcus dove, catching her arm. Ian grabbed Marcus. Ro grabbed Ian. The rocks shook violently, and Noel's hand slipped. She fell. A distant splash echoed below. Then silence. "Noel!" Ian screamed into the void. Only the cave answered with another slow inhale. Marcus pulled Ian back. "She's alive. We have to keep moving." Ian collapsed to his knees, choking. "She's gone. Noel's gone." Ro knelt beside him. "She isn't gone. There's water down there. If we find the lower chamber, we find her." Ian's eyes burned. "Then we go down." But the cave wasn't done separating them. Not yet. They found the drop-down point. A narrow chute descending into darkness. Each climbed down in silence. At the bottom lay ankle-deep water. The chamber echoed strangely, as if they stood inside a huge stone lung. Ian called out, "Noel!" A faint cough answered. They ran toward the sound. Noel sat against the wall, soaked but alive, clutching her ankle. "I'm okay," she whispered. "The water broke my fall." Ian embraced her tightly. Marcus placed a hand on both their shoulders. Ro exhaled with relief. For a moment, hope returned, until they noticed the tracks. Wet footprints. Dozens. But not theirs, trailing away, deeper into the cavern. Marcus whispered, "We're not alone here." They continued deeper until they found a chamber filled with stalactites shaped like jagged teeth. Then they heard it, crying. Human crying. Soft. Weak. Childlike. Ian raised his light. "Hello? Anyone there?" The crying stopped. Something shuffled behind the stalagmites. Marcus stepped forward. "Come out. We can help." A small figure crawled into view. A boy, maybe 10 years old. Dirty. Thin. Eyes too wide. Noelle gasped. "Oh my God. Sweetheart. How long have you been down here?" The boy didn't speak. He only pointed behind them. They turned slowly. Something moved in the dark. A tall shadow. Then another. Then 3 more silhouettes. Human shapes. But too long. Too twisted. The boy whispered one word. "Run." The chase was chaotic. The crying boy disappeared into the darkness. The tall figures followed silently. Not running, gliding. They slipped through cracks and gaps too narrow for any human body. Ian and Marcus ran ahead, pulling Noelle between them while Ro brought up the rear. Echoes bounced unnaturally, making it impossible to know where the creatures were. Left. Right. Another fork. Another dead end. The cave rearranged itself like a maze trying to trap them. Ro shouted, "Mark the walls. Chalk. Anything." Marcus frantically marked symbols. But each time they turned back, even seconds later, the marks were gone. Ian's voice cracked. "The cave's erasing them." Noelle whispered, "It wants us lost." After hours of frantic running, they reached a cavern where the ground vibrated rhythmically. Ro froze. "No. No, no, no." Ian grabbed him. "What is it?" Ro pointed to the walls, the spirals, the grooves. They were moving, not fast, but slowly, grinding, shifting, reshaping. Marcus whispered, "This thing, it's alive." Ro shook his head. "Not alive like an organism. Alive like a system, a mechanism, a machine made of stone." Ian stared in horror. "You're telling me someone built this cave?" Ro's voice trembled. "No, not someone. Something." The tunnel ahead opened into a huge spherical chamber. Glowing crystals pulsed along the walls like veins. A deep thrumming sound filled the air. At the center was a pit, perfectly circular, like the core of an engine. Ro raised his lantern. "This is the center. The heart." Marcus frowned. "Heart of what?" Ro's eyes glistened with terror. "A labyrinth designed by nature or something imitating nature. A system that consumes anything wandering inside." Noelle swallowed hard. "Consumes how?" Ro gestured toward the pit. "I think the cave feeds on fear, panic, movement. It creates paths that lead nowhere until the person breaks." Ian stared. "You're saying it wears them down until they give up?" Ro nodded. "Yes, and then it waits." Marcus clenched his fists. "So how do we escape?" Ro whispered, "We stop running." Ian stared at him like he'd lost his mind. "You want us to stand still while those things chase us?" Ro held firm. "Yes, that's exactly what I want." They backed against the wall. Breaths shallow. Lights dimmed. Silence. The cave waited. Then the tall creatures emerged from the shadows. Slowly, silently, closing in. Ro whispered, "Don't move. Don't speak. Don't run." Ian's knuckles whitened around the camera. The creatures leaned close. One hovered inches from Noelle. Another towered over Marcus. One reached toward Ian's face. But they didn't attack. Didn't touch. They only stared with hollow, reflective eyes. And then, slowly, they backed away. The cave hummed, shifting slightly. Then the walls opened, revealing a narrow path upward. Ro exhaled. It released us. The path was steep, endless. Their lights flickered as they climbed. Hours passed. Maybe days. Time felt wrong. At last they saw a sliver of blue. Moonlight. A cold breeze. The mouth of the cave. Marcus nearly collapsed. We made it. They crawled out onto the mountainside, broken, exhausted, shaking. The night sky above never looked so beautiful. Ian turned back toward the cave entrance. But something was wrong. The cave opening wasn't there anymore. Only solid rock. Like it sealed itself completely. Back in Clearwater Ridge, the sheriff took their statements. Rescue teams searched the mountain. They found nothing. No cave opening, no footprints, no traces. Dr. Rowe stayed behind with researchers for weeks, trying to rediscover the cave. He never did. Marcus returned home, retiring from expeditions entirely. Noel and Ian stayed together, but both carried a fear they never spoke aloud. Ian reviewed his footage. Every clip inside the cave was corrupted. Static, noise, blank frames, except one. A single second of footage near the stone mouth. The frame showed a pattern on the wall, a spiral identical to the ones back inside. But beneath it, a set of words carved into the stone. For words, the cave remembers you. Ian deleted the file, but the words stayed with him. So here's the lesson. Some places aren't meant to be discovered. Some mysteries aren't puzzles, they're warnings. Curiosity is a gift. But obsession is what leads people into caves with no end, and not all of them return. If the story gave you chills, made you think, or kept you listening, hit like, subscribe, and share this with someone who loves these deep, atmospheric mysteries. Because next time, the cave might remember you.